Here we go.
You're at Gamescom? Yeah.
Boop. Oh.
4 hours of recorded gameplay. No, I wasn't recording. They have like a set of demo stations here that people can play for like 30 minutes. But then I was like, they have a Stream Deck connected to the PCs with like a hack button. So I was like, can I do more things? And then I got to play more stuff than normally you'd see on the show floor. Please tell me you got swallowed by a worm. No comment. When is it starting? In like 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
Cool.
Wait, are they in? Yeah. So yeah, I'm here.
Is stream audio low for anyone else?
This is the right. Whoa.
I think it's a little
Hello.
low. We can raise it if we need to.
I'm like fully, like still suited out of my mind. I keep getting people.
Oh my
stopping me
God,
on the
he's got
show
a whole
floor 'cause they
thing
think
on.
I'm a cosplayer, so they're like, "Hey, can we get pictures?" And I'm just like, "I'm going to the bathroom, please." Nice outfit. Yeah, it's like full on down to my feet. Shenanigans. But you can't really see it on the camera. But I can't bring the camera down because there's so much equipment. It's like too much stuff.
I love it, dude.
Recycle the water. I need to find my recycling tube. But shout out to Shannon for having someone make me my Fremen suit.
Oh my God.
Just pee in the still suit. Yeah.
Hydration is required.
Have I been working out? No, but it's so hot in Germany. I think I've lost about a third of my body weight in sweat. They're like bringing people, so they're doing like live demonstrations here at the show floor. So we're going to actually get to watch the live demonstration, but also there's Mario and Tasha from Funcom will be like narrating it as well, talking through what you're seeing on the screen. I wish I had a cooler, like, it's hard to get the neck bit to look cool. It's like a full cape. Like, I don't know if you saw the Instagram post. Actually, I posted like a story on Instagram of like, hey, about to start the stream. And like the Dune movie and Legendary are going to retweet it, which is pretty crazy.
Oh.
Shannon Halud in chat. This is sick, you're causing. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, it's such a pain to get. There's like 1,000 straps and bolts, and it takes forever to get into it. It's like a full-on, like, it's all like clips and straps and stuff everywhere. It's.
Who is this? This is Sacriel.
And I'm wearing it slip fashion, obviously.
What are we watching today? Well, first of all, thank you to
what's
Funcom.
going on
They're
here?
sponsoring this little look real quick. We are
We're getting
checking
hyped
out
up.
Dune Awakening today, which, oh, there's Natasha, which is
So yeah,
basically
in a few
Funcom.
minutes, we're going to be watching the
It's
presentation,
Funcom
and
taking
then
everything
afterwards,
they've
I'll
learned
sat
from
here
Conan
with a dad
Exiles
who
and
won't
like
be dressed
applying it
as
in the
an
Dune
idiot,
universe with a
normal clothes.
bunch of Dune-centric
and we'll be
stuff.
talking about
So
the game.
it's got
I'm
it's like
gonna
a.
try and sneak in a few.
But I think it's also
I'm
like more of
gonna
an
do you guys a
MMO. We're
solid.
gonna find
I'm
out more
try
about it
and sneak
today.
in a few questions
Like I've got questions
about things that weren't in the gameplay reveal. Like, oh,
But yeah, we'll see.
What about and see if they answer, and then you'll be like, oh.
So one thing, for instance, is that like, can we have private servers? Can we have,
Is there a funny pack? Oh, so like,
like,
yeah,
are there,
is
is it like an MMO with just only like 10
one
servers?
of the
Like,
staff because I need my phone.
yeah, I've got lots
so
of
I kind
questions.
This is like the only non-Fremen bit about me.
Yeah, Funcom made it Anarchy. Funcom's made a lot of
shoulder
stuff over
pads
the
and
years.
stuff.
I was an Anarchy
Loving
Online
it.
player back in the
But
day.
it's
I had
so
the
hot.
Adventures
Dude,
backpack.
it's hot in a t-shirt.
You remember that?
And I'm wearing like skin-tight leather strapped to me. Shrouds in the chat. Shrouds in the chat. Any chance you could ask them to compare the compared to their other overworlds, Conan Exiles? I'm sure that will come up anyway. No pressure, but the whole world is watching. Thank you, Shroud. Like I'm not sweating enough in this thing, dude. How are they looking in there? They're still bringing people in. Can I pee in the suit? No. So like, if I go to the bathroom now, like one of the public bathrooms at Gamescom, I have to spend like 10 minutes unzipping, unclipping, unstrapping. Like, not fun at all. But luckily, I went to the bathroom before I put it on, and then I'm like, I'm not consuming any moisture.
Sakral's getting a small
Mr.
taste of what it's like
CohhCarnage
to
in
be
the
a
house.
woman
That suit looks
that wears
slimming.
super nice
Aw,
clothing.
Thank you. It is slimming because I think I've lost about 50 pounds.
Welcome to their
in
life.
Just water weight.
Oh, now he's talking about water weight. He's going all in now. Yeah. Yep.
And there's a Dune statue out front, which is this thing here. So everyone's taking pictures of it. And like, I was stood there to cool off. It's cooler out there than in here. And like, random people, like attendees and stuff, would just walk up and like put their arm on me, like, hey, and take a picture because they thought I was like a paid cosplayer.
I was going to say, he's a cosplayer. He's basically a cosplayer. Is this live? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sakral is at Gamescom right now. He's in Germany.
Yeah, there's a weird fisheye lens. Yeah, these are like wide-angle GoPros, so you can see the end of the wall over there is like bulging. Is this a gameplay review, or you can actually do what you want? I'm not playing, Mike. It's a presentation, so it's like loads of gameplay footage going through the core like survival gameplay loop. But it's I won't be playing myself. I have played. I played for like it's like a 30-minute demo, but I played for like 4 hours.
Oh.
You're a paid cosplayer. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Other people, like friends, like at the convention, kept coming up to me and saying, "Oh, it's so cool that they got you a Fremen suit made." I'm like, "No, Shannon got me a Fremen suit made. I'm just crazy. This isn't even part of it. I could be wearing a T-shirt right now, but Shannon went full Shai Halud." Okay, so I need to check the microphones. Okay, so we're going to introduce some more microphones. 2 seconds.
I love it, dude.
Streamers actually.
Oh, they've already announced there's no
Thank
private
you very
servers
much
on
for being
launch.
with us.
Okay. Okay.
So
Thank
we
you.
have about 30 minutes of gameplay
Okay,
presentation
enjoy. I'm
for
gonna
you.
be I'm gonna mute my mic for this
about
bit.
base mechanics that you encounter at the start of the game. There's a lot to the game, but we don't have the time to talk about everything, and also we don't want to just yet. But hopefully we can get you excited about the game either way.
Excite
So
me, Natasha.
as I mentioned, it's about 30 minutes that
Let's
we'll
do
talk
it.
about the game. I have Mari here with me.
Ermaluk,
Mari
that's
is,
how I feel.
art director at Funcom, and I am Natasha. I'm global PR manager at Funcom, and we are very excited to talk to you about this gameplay today.
Who's
And
the
I
dev?
think with that, we
I
just
don't
jump
know the
right
dev on the
into it.
right, but the person on the left is Natasha. She does a lot of Funcom's community stuff, and she's incredible. I've worked with her many times. She's very awesome.
This is basically the start of the game, like the intro sequence that you see here. This is basically about creating your character. So obviously, like in many other games, you have a lot of sliders and a lot of possibilities to basically
I see some
customize the
thickness
character that you
variables,
want
but
and
not
to
in the
create
places I'd
character
hope.
that you want, and the one that you identify yourself with later on. Of course, like all sorts of facial structures, like nose, eyes, lips, everything can be customized. Also, like for each section, also like height,
Wow.
width, whatever. The age,
Dang.
like skin, type of skin color, eye color, like now. This is just an example, so you have lots of possibilities and really create the character that you want.
Pupil and iris size. That's interesting.
You would seeing like different hairstyles.
Hair looks pretty good.
Also like bone structure, facial structure, like a lot of stuff. There's some makeup together with some tattoos.
Yeah, I wonder if you get the blue
This
spice
eyeliner
eyes
now.
somehow.
This is
And
of course
some-
still work in progress as well, so we'll add way more features as well as the game progresses.
Yeah, and once you're done, so now we're basically creating or selecting a more standard character, male one, and then you have like the physical sections of like height of the character, like thickness, width in general. And once you're happy with your selection, then you just put in your name, and then you can get started.
Have they told you what I am? Then I will sift your words for lies. Let's begin. Where were you born?
And for those who know the books or the movies, the Reverend Mother is a very important character, so she basically serves here as the to help you define the background of your character. So what planet you're from, like what caste you're from,
or make a
and
bad deal,
especially also like defining now your class. And any of your options that you're giving here, dialogue options, will define also like the later dialogue options in the game. Aside from this section where you're defining basically like your pre-start or like starting class, it's more like a preset, it's not like a fixed class already. So you still have a chance to later on to completely customize and change to whatever you want.
Okay. Interesting. Is this game going to have private servers? We heard earlier that they are not.
And of course, with the voice, she attracts the player
not on launch
to do the final test with the plain box and using the Gonja bar.
I hold at your neck the Gonja bar, the high-handed enemy. Don't pull away or you will die. Great plots are afoot in the Imperium, and the
keep in mind this is beta footage, so there might be sections in the game that are not completely finished, or something that you might think is a little bit weird. So keep this in mind.
You will go to Arrakis as
so the story that the player is playing through is very important, and we don't want to spoil too much here. So this means we're going to jump over a few scenes here.
So I wonder if this means if the main character is going to be a hero character. Looking like it. Kind of standard MMO main questy kind of stuff.
As we now wake up in a mysterious cave. So survival games have a reputation of being quite rough at the beginning, or not rough, but they don't really explain a lot at the beginning. They kind of throw the player in the thick of it. And we have a slightly different approach here. So we have something we call the NPE, or the new player experience. It's still a bit on the construction, but basically we want to have an area here where we can teach the players the basics. You see here you're actually surrounded by mummified Fremen. You also see Fremen symbols on the wall. But obviously that's important for the story, but you as a player don't know exactly what that means and what you stumbled into. So as we make our way here through the cave, we're gonna find our first very important item here, which is a Frem kit. Frem kits are of course very important in the Dune universe. It's the backpacks basically that the Fremen use to survive in the desert. And we also get one as a player. It's very empty at the beginning. It will fill up eventually as you play through the game, but right now it's very empty. And we basically use it to teach the player that you can craft very basic items in your inventory. We make a scrap metal knife here and use it to slice open this moisture seal.
And he didn't repair it. I feel like that's the same as like leaving the door open.
A lot of people who only saw the movies, they think that Arrakis is completely barren. That's not really true, because if you read the books, you know that there is actually plant life in shadowy areas or in caves. That's also the reason that we find some plant fiber here that we can collect. And we can also use it, again, it's a basic item, we can craft it from the inventory and make some simple bandages. Or a heal kit in this case. And we use it to heal ourselves up. And that now enables our stamina bar, which means we can now also start climbing. So we basically ported the climbing system that we have in Conan Exiles into Dune Awakening, but we expanded on it. So we made it more interesting because now you can also combine it, for example, with abilities or with gadgets to give you more opportunities to traverse through the world. Make it more interesting to also travel around. We're gonna jump a little bit ahead again.
Okay, cool.
Or we crashed a little bit ahead again, so we actually crash landed here. That's actually now in the game. Where we teach you an important role immediately. You obviously do not want to stand on the sand for too long, because the sandworm will always come, sooner or later. This is the little one, by the way, or one of the little ones. So you will now also see here we have a blue bar on the left. That's the water bar. Of course, you have to keep an eye on that. We also have a white bar in the middle there. That's your heat meter, basically. So as long as you stand in the sun, or as you stay in the sun, this will fill up. As soon as you go into shadow, it will go down again. What you can do now is you can actually drink from these plants by ingesting them, and your water bar will go up a little bit, but it won't go over 1/3, because you can't really ingest too much of those plant fibers because you get sick. And you also saw the bar actually went red. The white bar, the heat bar. That means you get sunstroke, and the water bar will empty way faster than it normally would. So you should really stay in the shade. And some of you might know that we actually have an alternate timeline here in Dune Awakening.
Her water already went down by
That
half?
means it's not exactly the story from the books. In this case, it means that both the Harkonnen and the Atreides are still on the planet, and they still fight for power over the planet and over the spice. This also means that's the reason that you can find those metal scraps, those metal pieces around, and you can use your cutter ray to cut those. You have like those balloon lines. It's a special mode that the cutter ray has.
Look at your
and
sunbar!
It exposes weak parts of the thing that you want to harvest. And if you follow those lines, it's more efficient for you to harvest. It's faster, you get more material, and sometimes even more rare
Throw your
materials.
water!
Those patterns get more complex the higher tier node you try to harvest from.
Okay.
And then spice is of course everywhere, and it has very peculiar effects on the player. Like in this case, we see here the spice starts to affect the player. In this case, you might want to bring yourself to safety. Make sure you're not like exposed to a potential sandstorm.
Wait, it said spice withdrawal.
But that's for a later point in time, what here will happen.
Okay, weird. Interesting.
Yeah, now we're talking about NPC bases. So now you see a character further developed, a trooper Harkonnen player. He's scouting out an NPC area or like his NPC camp. There are lots of these camps throughout the world. And he's using his binoculars to like mark enemies and eventually points of interest. And he's using
I don't know how I
like
feel
the
about that
suspensor
sunbar,
belt,
dude.
one of the items that you can have, and the Shigawire claw.
I mean, I get why they have to
some
have
sort
it,
of,
but I feel like I'm going to be constantly stressed out because of it.
Combination with
Like-
the Shigawire clone suspension.
Yeah, exactly. So in order to get quicker from A to B and climb up faster and approach the village in a certain way.
Whoa, a lot of new stuff.
Grappling hook, basically. Similar to a grappling hook.
Is it the same
Now
thing as
he's,
V Rising?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm
Building
assuming there's a day-night
Mauler
cycle.
Pistol. This
So,
is like feather-based, and we're basically using different ammunition than in real life. So these are a little bit
I like
more
the floating.
slower, so they can actually penetrate shields, like in the lore.
I mean, there's got to be ways and equipment you can get to, like, not necessarily negate, but, like, reduce the sun stuff. Like, I wonder if you can have, like, travel equipment.
And different hit points or like hit areas are important, like shooting at the head or the legs or whatever area. Of course, he's aiming always for the head.
Is it third
to
person only?
Kill the enemies faster. Keep in mind,
I
like
guess
for
it
the
is.
purpose of this presentation, we have chosen a little bit of a slower gameplay so we can actually comment on this. We support controller, mouse and keyboard, but of course an experienced player can go through this like very, very fast. And there's a combination of both, and you can really, really traverse throughout the battlefield really quickly.
The enemies seem very spongy. It's a lot of headshots. Is this like Starfield but Dune? No. This is a survival sandbox multiplayer game.
And all these abilities
Starfield is
together
very
give, like
different
a
beast.
very nice
Yeah.
dynamic in the battlefield.
They're gonna play
And
totally
the
different.
Very well-known hand grenade to finish up. And enemies, of course, also have different archetypes, and this type is one's like
Yeah,
melee,
it's
and they will put
I
some
think the
pressure on
foundation
you
is
and
Conan
approach
Exile,
you
so
to
that
get,
should tell you a
yeah,
lot about how
to
it's
put you a
gonna.
little bit of stress on you. So we're jumping ahead now a little bit to a different character. This is a sword master specialization. So obviously he's a melee character, and he is wearing a sword and doing heavy damage close combat. And he has a knee charge ability, which he can jump like towards the enemy and put his knee into his face, basically. And yeah, obviously he's a little bit in disadvantage against ranged enemies, so he has certain abilities to compensate that. Now both characters are together, and for the main player we chose basically now a different type, and he's using his mentat ability.
Battlefield calculation.
And yeah, with this you can basically scan everything or every enemy or even like your group members and see what type of ammunition they have, like what type of weapon they use, granite type, and so on and so forth. All the symbols that you see basically around the character. And you can of course communicate that to the other player and tell them what basically approaching is. And he also has the ability to see through walls and scout out new enemies that are maybe behind, and tell that to his group friend to warn him, basically. And you saw like the DBNO state for the enemy, basically similar to the player's mechanic, where you can shoot at an enemy, but he's not completely dead already, so potentially a different NPC can come and revive him, and the same goes for players, of course. Yeah, exsanguination, the blood extraction. After a big fight, of course, there are lots of corpses laying around, and they're not only there for looting, so you can, of course, also like extract blood from them. So because fluid and hydration is very important in our game, there's also a way to get fluid or water out of blood. And in the way we're doing this here, he's building a blood extractor, which is a handy little tool. There are further down the game, there are different tools to do this too. And he basically approaches a corpse, sees the little symbol for blood extraction, that he's able to do that, and then he extracts the blood. And obviously, because blood is a fluid, you can drink it in our game, but we're of course not vampires. You can do this to survive for a longer period, and you get like a little debuff that you see blood drinker that brings you this disadvantage in a certain way.
So now a little bit about player bases. We have a totem system in Dune Awakening. That means you can actually place down something called the sub-fief console, which then gives you a land claim, basically an area that you can build in. You do, however, pay a little bit of tax to the Emperor for placing one down. You can have several of those if you want to. You also see that you see a holographic image of what you actually want to place down. So you can plan it out a little bit, and then you fill it with material.
Hey guys.
However,
Want
we
to say
also
something in chat real
expanded
quick?
on this system. So let's say
Super fast.
you just place down the hologram and
We
you
respect
run out
opinions,
of material. So
good
a friend
and bad.
actually can come in and fill it for you.
Please don't
if
shout
they have
down or
material.
argue with people over their opinions.
Or you can also use
good
this,
or
of course,
bad.
to have a friend just
Like, it goes
plan
both
your
ways.
building. Just
Okay.
put down all
I
the
appreciate it.
holograms,
Thank
and
you.
then someone else fills it in. So you can have an architect in your guild.
If somebody's not
basically.
feeling it, that's okay. You don't need to defend it. That's cool. It's fine. If somebody's feeling it, awesome. If
We
you're
also know
not,
that
you
some
don't need to
players
convince
don't
them
like
they
to
don't.
build
They're not
or
feeling it.
to,
Like it's cool.
design the buildings. They just kind of like to have one or place one. So more on that later. So that's where this comes into play. You can actually have a whole blueprint of your finished building, so you can copy it, and then you get a copy in your inventory
Can
that
you shout at
can
me?
place
Yes.
out again
If
wherever
you
you'd
need
like.
to shout at somebody,
so if
shout
you
at
want
me.
to move on,
At
let's
least I'm
say
getting
to
paid
the next
for it.
biome or into the deep desert, for example. We'll
That's
talk
okay.
about that a bit later. You can just place out the building that you designed earlier and reconstruct it, just fill it with material. The cool thing about this system is you can
I might
also
shout back at you, though.
sell this
Just keep that in
blueprint
mind.
to other players.
might get
if
a-
you
a
want
filthy
to
PM
on the
from me
in-game
later in all
exchange
caps.
for Solaris for the in-game coins.
That has been
So
known
you
to happen.
can actually be an architect in the game if you'd like to.
Settle down, Co. I would if I could, but frankly, when this engine's on, it can't stop.
So yeah, so once you have developed your little base a little
like a
bit
diesel.
further, you can see a little bit of an example of what it could look like inside. And you see a lot of machinery on the side, basically for different purposes. And one of these machines is the blood purifier. So like I explained before, basically you can extract the blood from enemies and then
This is-
convert
I have
this
to
blood
admit,
in
like,
this machine to
The
water.
idea,
And it's
I get that it's
pretty
Dune.
simple. It runs automatically, so just
but
fill
the
up
idea that you're
the machine
murdering
with
people
blood,
and draining them and then
it does it
purifying
on
their
the side,
blood
so
to
you can
drink
still,
is
like,
kind
run
of
around,
metal.
do
Like I'm
something
saying
else, and
Dune
then
is
later
kind of
on
metal, not necessarily this
pick
game.
up
That's
the
kind of metal.
converted water.
Like that's
And now to the very
That's wild.
important section
Yeah, very
for
Dune.
me.
Welcome to
actually is,
Arrakis.
like,
Yeah. It's
how
crazy.
to build a vehicle. So this is one of the first vehicles that the players get access to. This is the sand bike. And there are different ways of getting your hands on a bike, but in this specific
Why is there
case,
screaming in
we're
the
showing it
background?
throughout
Oh,
the
this is happening at
blueprint or like
GAMESCOM.
schematic. And you
This
see
thing
all the
live
parts on the left
presentation at
side that
GameScom.
are part of this bike, and you need all these in order to assemble a whole
Live
bike.
presenters,
And on the right
pre-recorded gameplay.
side, you see basically the waiting line, where you can get several modules built at the same time, and they're just basically worked through.
Where's the sandworms? They were at the beginning. Yep.
And you don't have to stick all the time in that menu. You can also exit it and do something else and wait until the machine is done. It's almost like a 3D printer, you could imagine. And that's what he's doing now, and you can see even like once you exit the menu, you can see a preview and hologram of the actual item that the machine is currently building. And now he enters again and then basically just takes out everything that was built. And now to the assembly itself. For every vehicle, the main part is the chassis. Then we add a battery, a motor, of course, or an engine. Then the treads. In this case, treads. We also have different types of like wheels or treads or whatever. Then, of course, an outer hull to make it pretty. And because this system is modular, we can basically also add different types of modules later on to the bike. So we can completely enhance the functionality by adding, like, let's say, enhanced inventory module or like a boost module to drive even faster. In this case, the player chose a passenger seat, so he can take somebody with him.
Okay.
And now to the world events. These are dynamically driven throughout the world. There are different types of dynamic events. And in this case, this is a spaceship that is basically crashing from the space. And both players, and now you can see how his buddy is sitting in the passenger seat. They're both driving to the crash site to see what they can get there.
So just a note to the devs, maybe have a big
There are
gas
different
cloud
parts laying around
like
there. It's not only
before
always
it
the
just
case like
hits the
this.
ground and skids a little bit,
but
and that
you
way
can
we can't
also
see it
approach the
settle. That
wrecked
would probably be
ship
better.
itself and basically use your cutter ray and cut holes into the ship and basically get certain types of resources. In
Little
this
feedback
case,
there.
they also find a loot box, so they were lucky and have also some enhanced
This is
materials.
cool, though. I
And
like
other
the
guy
idea.
is
This is a
basically
cool idea.
using his cutter ray again and cutting through the bigger parts.
It's basically
One
a
of
loot
the
box.
threats, of course,
A loot
at
drop,
night
yeah.
too, is basically our, I call it in-game police. These are the Sadoka. They're bluish because they have a shield. They
That's
patrol
scary.
throughout the night everywhere and basically seek out for like bad players or mischief players, let's say. And this guy is basically currently harvesting some water from the plants, and he didn't see them. So they found him, spotted on him, and basically dropping units to engage with him. And they basically attacking the players now.
Wait, they're killing them?
And no, more about the
I thought those guys
sandworm.
were like the elite of the elite.
So we see our two friends here.
I thought-
they're
I thought he was
driving
just
on
dead.
the open sand, which we earlier said is a bad idea. But
Oh.
also, just to see that red bar in the middle, that's your noise meter, basically. So that's how much noise you make. The bike currently makes a lot of noise. And even though we say you shouldn't go out into the open sand, of course, there are reasons why you would want to. In this case, it's the flower sand. So our two players here, they try to harvest some flower sand, which you can refine into quite important material to then craft specific items.
Okay.
You can harvest flower sand by hand, as we see there, which would be completely quiet, or you can use a sand compactor that you see here, which is, it makes it, of course, way faster, way more efficient. You get more material as well, but it's also incredibly loud. So, and that's what happens. We now have a very pissed off worm on our hands, and the only thing they can do now is basically jump on the bike and try to make it to safety as soon as possible. So if they can make it to a rocky
Maybe don't go
island,
the
to
direction
rocky
where the worm
ground
was. Okay, there
before
it is.
it gets them, that's kind of the only option they have right now.
Bro, what?
And because those
That
two
was the
guys
one
have
wrong way to
locked
go,
their brains,
of all
they
the
actually
ways.
just made it. It was very close though.
Okay, wow. That looked cool though.
Now our player hubs. Once you have progressed far enough, you might be able to construct your own ornithopter, we see here. Then the world of course opens up.
Wow,
You can
those two
fly,
ornithopters
get a
look
lot of
very different.
verticality then. And
kinda
to leave this map here that we are in, Haga Basin, you actually fly to the edge and then you get into the overland map that we see here. You see your little ornithopter in the middle. You drive it on this map.
Wait,
you
what?
have water and gas that you need to take care of, that you have to have enough of to actually travel around. And you also see all the other little points here. Those are all other players that are also traveling on the map. So there can be hundreds of players that are also traveling. And we are gonna visit Harco Village here, which
That's
is
interesting.
a player hub. Harco Village is controlled by the Harkonnen.
Huh.
And this is where you can meet up with many other players. You can, from other servers too. You can group up, you can create the guild, you can talk to NPCs, you can drive the story forward, you can learn new abilities from your trainers.
Welcome back.
You can pick up contracts as well. We also have dynamic events here, so they change kind of depending on what time of the day it is that you're
They
actually
let you
visiting
live.
those areas.
That is interesting.
You can also bank your Solaris. You can do them, visit the in-game exchange to trade or sell from other players. And then, last but not least, you can also pledge your allegiance to one of the factions. In this case, it would be the Harkonnen. If you want to do that, you don't have to, but you can. It does have, of course, precautions.
Yeah, now to our testing stations, or also Ecolabs. So these are, you can imagine, basically from other games like dungeons, where the players can engage, go into, explore, and find some interesting items, loot, whatever. And these three approach the whole thing with the ornithopters, and now they're basically trying to customize
They each
their
brought
builds
an
a little bit
ornithopter,
more
and there's only 3
to
of them.
have a proper gameplay then together. And
That is such a
this
waste
is one
of
of
gas.
our many skill
bet
trees
they're all
that we
gas
have,
guzzlers.
and they are choosing basically the correct abilities now in order to engage into the testing area. So there are 3 main
I thought there were
abilities that you can
3
use
active
and
abilities
3 passive
total.
ones.
But I think that
you
was
can
just
see
for
here,
that
we
class.
can slot them in
Okay.
at any time and change them up at any time.
Oh, wait,
And
no,
that's
no.
what
There's a
they're
lot.
doing now.
Okay, there's 3 active abilities at a time, but there's lots of different active abilities in
And
the
now
bottom.
they're jumping with their suspensor belts
All right.
into the testing station. And important for us is that it's not only a linear corridor where you just have to fight through. All these testing stations have a little bit of a story, they have a little bit of combat, and they also have a little bit of exploration. So there are almost like labyrinths where you have to really work together. You can also visit these as a solo player, of course. They're quite challenging, and at the end you don't know, and we can't reveal right now what
Has
you
anyone ADS
may
yet?
find. But of course also some nice loot, and yeah. And there's different abilities
That
and
ADS?
weapons that you can see are combined. Here's a shield wall that the player plays, and you can actually shoot with the flamethrower through it.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I guess that is the ADS.
And now
I
you
wonder
can
if they're
see
gonna have
actually
scopes and stuff.
how much more vivid the whole combat is, and how much faster the whole thing is. And it can become even more. And the blue NPCs that you see, they have a shield, so you have to select the right type of weapon in order to surpass that. And of course, like in any kind of nice dungeon, you want some proper loot, and that's what they find here. And yeah.
And now a little bit of a taste of the spice hunt in the deep desert. That's in the deep desert. That's one of the huge spice blows that you can see. Those can be seen from
Elite
miles
says, this
away.
reminds me of that
This
awful
is
Defiance
basically where
game.
you then fight over spice, which is of course the most valuable
Get out of my
resource in the
channel.
game.
Thanks for being here,
several
though. I appreciate
reasons.
you watching.
So we
But
see here a guild, or
doors
2
that
guilds
way.
basically fighting each other over the spice. And
I respect your
if
opinion.
you're smart,
I do,
and
I respect
if
it.
you're very good at planning,
I just hate
and you
it.
have a proper strategy and
respect it.
tactic, you might even be able to turn Arrakis itself into a weapon against your enemy.
No, Defiance
And
was
those are the big
super
ones.
rough, but I loved it. I mean, I actually loved it. That's a big old
Yes,
worm.
so that was our gameplay presentation. We do have a few minutes for questions. If someone has some questions, we can address those.
Test. Oh, there we go. We're back.
Hi, Sacriel.
Okay, so they're doing their own Q&A over there, but we actually have a dev coming to sit with us, and then you can ask questions via my silly face directly into a dev's ears, straight in the ear holes. Legend.
Hi, Dev.
Yo.
By the way, we're halfway through the presentation. We are currently watching Dune Awakening, presentation from Gamescom.
Hello.
If this
Hey,
game
guys.
looks like
Can
it
you
is
hear
your
me okay?
thing, or you would like to
Awesome.
see it develop into the future,
Dr. Yue
we're having
hasn't
Dune Command. You
disconnected
can go to
our
code.tv/Dune,
communication.
and you can check it
We're
out
good
there,
for
wish
now.
list,
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
kind of
You
stuff.
might get us later.
Or
Yeah, I
keep
think you
tuning
will.
in and see if
So
it's
it
for
seems
you.
like-
So, yeah.
There's a lot of shy haloods going on in chat.
Yes.
People kind of vibe in, especially the end one. That's a bit. That's
The big one.
the chungus. That one is. I think they call it. But I think a lot of people have got like random questions in chat, so maybe we address some of those.
100%. Let's go.
Oh, will I play it?
A lot of them. Seem
I'm
to be
going to try it on
based,
release.
As
I'm
you
gonna try
might
it.
expect around like comparisons to Code and Exiles. Like
I'm
how
going
many
in with
people
pretty
per server,
managed
that kind of thing.
expectations, though.
So
So,
we'll go with the how many
Yeah.
people per server or instance or region, and
Is
then
there any
I'll
fishing?
reach out
I hope so.
and find more questions.
Sure. So like the starting region, the Haga Basin, it's like minimum 40, depending on server optimization. Hopefully more by the time we launch the game.
there's sand
the
fishing.
Deep Desert itself
can
is like
sand
this
fish.
connected series
Beautiful.
of servers. We're aiming for trying to get 100 people.
No, I
for
agree.
each
So
of the
so far
servers,
for me,
and it's 9 servers.
there's a lot of
So there
mechanics
could be
in there that
900
look
people
cool.
roaming in that map space, but only
There's a
100
lot of mechanics I'd like to do with other
square.
people.
Right at a time. So that's kind of the
But there's a
goal,
lot
and
of
then we'll see,
foundational elements that
based
look
on server
concerning.
optimization. That's kind of our current.
The melee
numbers,
looked very
and then
concerning. The
as beta
gunplay
continues,
looked
we get
kind of
more people in
concerning.
and we find ways
Um,
to improve our
the animations were a
optimization.
little
Yeah, should be more.
concerning. Like
Okay.
there's, I feel
And
like the
Deep Desert, that's
presentation
like
needs some serious
a
work.
huge region,
Yeah.
and one thing.
But I liked a
people
lot of the mechanics
tend
that I
to
saw. I
dislike
love
is
the
once
setting.
you've kind of explored the map, it gets a bit stale because it's like, okay,
Building
every
looked
server
cool.
reset,
So
I'm
I'm
gonna
wondering
go
if the
to mine, I'm gonna
community
go to
elements will
wherever.
kind of
I
outweigh
understand
some of
you've
the
got something
polish that
different
isn't
for the
there.
Deep Desert.
Yeah,
Yep.
the plan here.
We'll see.
It's an idea that's like kind of untested, and we hope works out well. I mean, it's.
I know
tested
I'm
in the
sponsored,
game,
chat, but I'm always going to
tested
tell you how I
at
feel about this
scale.
stuff. I mean, that's just how it
But like
works.
the
Yeah.
idea is that the Deep Desert resets every week with this giant Coriolis storm that comes through, wipes out the landscape, and then there's a new layout, and the fog of war comes back. And so you need to go out there.
Oh, it's a
like,
reset
we kind
mechanic.
of call this
Okay.
phase of play like the Coriolis race. and the idea is that like the big guilds will have their
Well, no.
scouts, and their scouts go out and
You know what, I'm
start
gonna talk after
mapping
this,
the
hold on.
new, layout of the Deep Desert, and then they come back with that information. And if you're a solo player, you might be out there in your vast ornithopter mapping and then selling it on the exchange to other people. Just kind of trying to build exploration in as a part of the game loop, and then logistics. Right now we've mapped it. We know that where the good spots are. We're going to go build bases, and then we're going to go out there. We're going to fight over the spice blows that happen, and then at the end of the week, we know it's going to reset again. So yeah, it's kind of trying to build this dynamic game loop for people. A little bit, I guess, like Rust does it with their servers resetting every so often, but we're trying to do it in a world where things are persistent. So
I hear what this
Okay,
guy's
and
saying, but a
does
system
the
like that
Coriolis
only
Storm
works if
reset
you have really
all
good
the
meta goals
buildings that have
outside of
been
it.
crafted? So you kind
I
of
wonder what
building
that's
like
gonna be.
temporary outposts just to be able to leverage the area of the Deep Desert you're in, but you know full well you're going to get wiped.
yeah, so I mean, in one
A
of the
weekly
things that I
reset
learned, I
seems
think,
pretty
watching the way
strict.
people did PvP in Conan was that like they built up these giant sandcastles and then people came and kicked them down, right? And
But
it
keep
got
in mind, only
frustrating.
resetting the
A lot. So
loot
the Deep
zones,
Desert
not
is
the
designed
not
to be
the
this place
whole
where,
game,
like,
just
you
the
kind of
little
know
zones. Yeah.
that, it's like going to Vegas.
No, guys, it's not
and
weekly
being
resetting
like,
the
"Oh, I know
game.
if I
It's
bring
not
100
resetting the
bucks, I'm
game.
gonna lose that."
They're talking
So you don't get
specifically
too
about
attached.
like
you don't get too attached.
a
and
zone.
You kind of know what.
Yeah.
It's worth fighting for stuff out there. But you're like, yeah, when I bring this base, I know it's kind of going to be a cheap base because I know it's going to get wiped. So
The
yeah,
big,
the
like,
idea is
PvP
to
area.
encourage
Yeah.
people to really try this stuff out.
The idea
and not
is the
feel
big
like,
PvP
oh,
areas there.
I'm gonna be
You
reset
discover
to the Stone
and
Age
loot
every
it
time
over the course
I
of a
try
week,
something in
and then a
PvP.
sandstorm
And I
comes
suppose actually
and
think about it,
changes
there's the
everything.
blueprint system, right?
And then everyone
So
goes
once
in
you've
next
got
week and
kind
there's
of
new
the
loot in
ideal
different places, that kind of stuff.
outpost,
Yeah.
You can actually just blueprint it, and then next time after
Seems
the
fine. I
Coriolis
mean, that's,
storm,
you know, that-
you can go back in and just
that
use
could
the
be fine.
blueprint rather than painstakingly placing every wall and whatnot.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
system like
Which is
that,
kinda cool
it
because
really
then,
depends on the
like,
choices the
you
devs
I
make.
think in the video they
on
said
if it's
like
gonna work or
some
not work.
players, maybe if they're not into PvP or maybe they're not good at PvP, there's other things they can do like resource gathering for their guild, and you can even get architects. So you might get people sat there like min-maxing the perfect build for like, oh, if we find
Why is Sacriel doing this?
a spice region,
he's a great
we should
host and incredibly
deploy
professional.
that kind of building, and if someone else has got one, we'll build our assault post, and that's got the most windows for shooting, and
Yeah,
there's going to
exactly.
be all that cool meta that people have.
100% the meta around that stuff, right? Especially like the building meta is kind of
Yeah.
interesting. I think that's I'm excited to see it, right? But that's what I mean about testing at scale. We need more people in the betas and stuff to just sort of really see how this is going to
Yeah,
play out
Sakral's also a
and then adjust
huge
towards it.
Dune fan,
Yep.
so that kind of makes sense.
Someone asks, I think this one's an
Dude
easy
is wearing a
question.
homemade
What happens if
silk
Shai
suit.
Hulud
Come on
gets
now.
Well, you basically die, and you lose all your stuff because it swallowed it.
Yeah.
It's the only time in the game where you lose everything. But it's the sandworm. I couldn't, in good conscience, as a creative director on a Dune project, make the sandworm anything less than the most frightening thing in the game. So
You
it is the one
lose
time
all
you
of your
absolutely
items?
everything.
Yep. I can account to that because I was playing this yesterday for like 3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
And I died to like fights here and there and dehydration and stuff. But you can respawn. You can put spawn beacons, that kind of thing, spawn in your base. But then at one time I was messing around on my my sand bike, and Shai Hulud ate me. And I was sent back to the Stone Age. I had to make my shiv again. I had to make my cutter again. I had to make my armor again. So it actually kind of felt cool being able to like really be knocked back like that. And then obviously once you've got a more established base, you'll have your backup kits and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's
I love
definitely
mechanics like this.
Super cool feature.
They're
It's interesting
amazing.
to see actually in the trailer we just
Until
saw,
the
they get
first
the
time you
reveal
die to a
how you
bug
can
by
actually
them.
place thumpers and use them strategically. Like if you're losing a fight, you might disengage and place a thumper, and if the enemy aren't paying attention, they might rush into it.
But
and get
hopefully
wiped
that'll be
out.
okay.
Or maybe if you attack someone, like if you attack someone that's trying to maybe harvest spice,
They are cool, though.
You could maybe set a
If they
thumper
work,
off
they're
behind
awesome.
them and then attack them so they can't retreat. Like it feels like there's going to be some really interesting ways to use the landscape and the environment against people.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like talked a little bit earlier about solo players and PvP and the Zerg, right? And people coming in. You know, as a solo player, it's like, well, there's a Zerg coming, but I'm going to plant a thumper because it's going to cost them a lot more than it's going to cost me. That kind of thing. You can find ways to use the mechanics to your advantage.
I like how he
The other
just
side of it is
inadvertently
just
was
when
like,
you're
oh yeah,
harvesting
one person
spice,
could troll like
you
100
wanna have,
people
like,
super
a
easy.
A group of people who are out placing thumpers to keep the sandworm away from the harvesting spice, right? So there's a bit of a thought process in that as well. Like just even if there's no one else around, even if it's not PvP. It's
Why don't they show
PvE
gameplay? We just saw like 30
like,
minutes of gameplay.
Keep the sandworm busy with thumpers. So that
Yeah,
they're
like
not
distracting them. So are they like on the server side? Are they like tracked as an NPC that goes around, or is it just like if you walk in a certain area they spawn and then boom?
No, they're AIs. They're AIs. They live in the world, and they follow you around. They can teleport because we've noticed that some players can find ways to exploit them, and so they do have the ability. Like if someone really exploits a sandworm, they can teleport to the right location to do what they need to do. But yeah, they're AIs for the most part. They live in territories. They roam around. They don't cross out of these territories into because sandworms are territorial on Dune. So we tried to replicate kind of what the book description of them is.
Actually, it's interesting you say that. Now you said it, it reminded me. When I built my base yesterday, it was all just walls and a door. And I replaced one of the walls with a window. And as I replaced it, I just saw like the rolling dunes ahead of me and just a 100-foot pile of smoke just steamed past me. I was like, I'm going to put the wall back. Forget it. I don't want windows here.
What genre is this?
Okay, people are asking
Survival.
a lot about guild information. Like, what is a guild? What's the benefit? How many people
Multiplayer
can be in
survival.
a guild? Do you have like authority levels within it, so certain people can do certain things?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect from a guild in terms of permission systems. So you can set levels of permission, which includes ownership on bases. So people being able to like, you know, you can access these chests, you can't access these chests, you're not high enough within the guild. Then the final number for the guild isn't set, but it will depend on the server size. So like if we have, you know, so it'll probably be, I'd say in the tens, it won't be in the hundreds. We definitely won't be allowing that. Probably kind of based on at least the old rule of thumb from MMOs, which is back in the day, the old wisdom of it was like whatever your raid size is, your guild size should be double that.
Right.
So that people can, you know, participate in the activity and make sure they have a fair chance. So whatever we end up being, it'll be some level of like, you know, I think it'll be, you know, probably 50-ish, maybe lower.
Okay.
Right? It won't be super high. We won't be allowing these hundreds and hundreds of people person guilds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think from personal experience, when you get to the hundreds,
Interesting.
it makes it almost impossible to balance gameplay and to make things make sense.
Yes.
So I feel like a
Zach
lot of
is
people
right.
gravitate towards a more skillful expression of like smaller scale PvP. If you've got 100 dudes versus 100 dudes in a desert,
It's chaos.
it's just going to be madness.
It's chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think, the only winner there is going to be Shai Hulud.
Yeah. And guild activities, I didn't mention it, but like the harvesting we've been showing, those are kind of guild events, right? Like you want to go out and harvest with a group. You can do it solo, it's just less efficient, right? And then like we'll have like you can go and run sort of some of these harder ecology labs as well with a small group, things like that. But yeah, I think also the Landsrad, the political system, we haven't talked too much about, but like that's an option as well.
You explained it to me yesterday, and as a streamer, I was like, that's going to be really interesting seeing the streamers leveraging their communities within the world to make a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure how much you can speak about that, but it's very cool.
I mean, I don't know how well it'll come across when I just explain in words. I think we need visual aids, and probably, like, at some point we should do a stream and show it in action and how it's gonna work.
You
But
should.
Essentially,
It sounds
it's just,
interesting.
You
You
wanna
should do
win
that.
The votes of the different houses in the world, so that they will vote for the thing that you're looking to have happen. And when that thing happens, it changes the server for everybody in a way. So, yep.
So, like, you could say, I'm going to pledge myself to this faction, and they will say, if I build 10 ornithopters or something, all the people that pledge to them will get a bonus for X amount of time.
Yeah.
So then everybody will be like out there looking at the different bonuses available and trying to rush the ones that are really good and kind of vying off each other.
Yeah, and the Harkonnen or the Atreides will be like, we want to win this part of the Landsrad, so we need that vote. That house will say, well, in order for us to have this vote, we need you to deliver, I don't know, 1,000, spice-infused weapons. And then it's like, okay, we got to do this as a mass crafting event. If you think about
weapons?
World of Warcraft, they had some really good world events which they used to unlock content. It's a little bit like that. It's kind of thinking about some of these ideas.
Okay. My good friend Shroud asks, how are you approaching group size to make sure everybody has a place in the game from solo to large groups? So we kind of touched on it, like solo players can go out into the deep desert and find things ahead of other people and sell that information. So there might be a big guild that has lots of scouts, but if you're the lucky person that finds that special thing, you can go to that big guild and say, hey, give me enough money to buy 10 ornithopters and I'll tell you where this thing is. So that's kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's scanning, and I think like in terms of group size, so the base group size in the game is 4. It's like a firing.
So like
squad.
a party you might bump into typically will be 4.
Yeah, 4 it's solo, 4, and then I think then we talked about guild sizes, right? So, and 4 groups of 4 is generally what we like. Again, sort of
Is that
MMO
Sacral?
match
Yeah.
from back in the day. It's like you always take your group size, times it by 4 to get kind of your raid size. So 4 groups of 4 would be 16. 16 is kind of what we target for like harvesting. That's what we would think would be the activity size for these type of things.
Right.
And then how are we balancing it? Well, I think like in general, most of the overworld content is solo, like it's soloable, right? But you'll struggle to do it efficiently in some cases if you're alone. So there's just kind of, you can do it just takes time, right? And some of that is protracted battles and thinking about how to draw enemies out and getting through. You saw some of the bases, I assume, right? Some of the higher tier stuff is quite difficult, especially when shields start coming into play and you have to get into range and get into melee range and things like that. So
I do like in the PvP there's this interesting rock paper scissors style to it, because you've got melee versus like ranged weapons, but then you've got a shield to help prevent the damage from the melee. You've also got Bene Gesserit abilities, because we saw a skill tree that had Bene Gesserit, so we can presume there's some kind of like voice attacks you can do and things. So I think there's going to be a lot of cool rock paper scissors stuff where when you're being attacked, you go, okay, they got, oh, that guy looks like a Bene Gesserit because he did that ability, and that guy's the gun guy, so we need to snare him. And there's going to be this kind of, it's almost a little bit like a battle arena, because it's not just shooting. You've actually got all these different abilities on different cooldowns, different skill trees that interact with the skills you've got in different ways. So there's lots of different builds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be combined arms, right? This kind of sandboxy combat where you can find ways to do things that maybe other people haven't, just by combining things in the right way. So yeah, it's hopefully it works out. I mean that's the goal.
I've seen this question about 18 times now, and I'm finally going to ask it. Are there Bene Gesserit outfits like robes and dresses? But what I think they mean is, can I wear a mosquito net on my head?
There is
fair.
formal outfits, social outfits that are Bene Gesserit styled, yes.
Oh,
That
okay.
you'll be able to get, yeah.
Okay.
Exika, I think they're going to put all this on their YouTube when it's done. If you're wanting to watch the 30 minutes of gameplay.
Be like, I'm going to my guild meeting, or I'm going to go, walk the towns and stuff.
Yep, it'll be safe in those areas too. So.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. A lot of people ask during the character creation about, like, can you make a Harkonnen or can you make an Atreides? But as I understand it, all the characters are kind of like generic people, and then throughout their time in the world, they can pledge themselves to different things. But you can't be like, I'm part of the Harkonnen family, or I'm part of the Atreides family. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Like when you start the game, you're basically independent. You're a nobody. You're a nameless prisoner. And then as you play the game,
can you ride worms?
Decide who you want to
They
play.
have not talked about that yet. If you
faction
can,
choice and character creation,
I don't think we've even
other
seen
MMOs,
anything
just because
slightly
I think
like
it's
that.
more interesting to actually if you don't know Dune, getting to know who the factions are and then deciding your flavor of faction is kind of more.
I mean,
That's
I
a good
can
point,
ride
actually.
worms,
Instead
but I
of
don't know if
just
you can
being
in the
like,
game.
choose A, B, and C the first step. You can actually talk to them for however many hours going through the quest lines and go, I
Thinking
prefer
I
these
go out
guys,
and guy
and
you,
kind of
so you know
earned that
that's,
they've earned
that's
it,
how that works.
rather than like arbitrarily picking it and then you get 60 hours in and you go, I hate these people.
And there's actually one of the opening.
I'm actually riding a
can
worm
do
right
both
now.
Sides. You can play both sides against each other in the beginning,
Oh.
right? And then at some point you have to commit, but you can sort of play around with it a little bit.
Right,
Start
okay.
off with.
Everybody's asking, when will there be a beta? Give me a beta. I want a beta now. Beta.
Yeah, I mean, we're running a persistent beta right now. It's limited in shape and form. We're going to increase the amount. We just did an update a couple of weeks ago. I think I mentioned this, like where we revamped the melee combat. And we've been waiting for that to come in because I didn't want to go wide with kind of not the world's best melee combat earlier. Now we have much better melee combat. I'm not saying it's world best. But now it's much better, so we'll start to roll out to wider.
So wait,
wider
he's
groups of
saying
people,
we
and
didn't see the good melee
festivals
combat.
and game stuff is going to require thousands of people, so you can expect the beta to ramp up quite significantly.
Okay.
I can't give it to you individually. You have to sign up.
That's
on
promising.
GameScom. They don't even let me, the creative director, have any. They don't let me decide anybody who's in the beta. I'm not even
I
allowed.
can vouch for that because they didn't make me wear this still suit. I bought this and I'm sat here in 200-degree heat dying of dehydration and I don't have access. That's why I was here for like 3 hours yesterday. They put me in a room and said you can play for 30 minutes here on the test bed, and then like 3 hours they came back like, is Sacrilege still here? I'm like, yeah, and I'm still like trying to craft stuff. So yeah, I was getting.
They put him in a room and
fill
forgot
while
about it.
here,
I
and I'm
love
not in
it.
the beta yet. So
I love it.
yeah, you are very truthful when you say you're not just handing it out like candy.
Yeah. No, they don't let me make any decisions around it. So
They come back in and they're like,
just
how far did you get? We think you saw things you weren't supposed to.
Oh,
Can you
I
tell
have
us
a
what you
question.
saw, please? We're going to need you to sign this.
Was the gameplay earlier the final gameplay, or are you guys fine-tuning the animations, etc.? What's the current state of the stuff being shown?
So this is from the, I think it's the 17.4 beta, which is like that's just a release number, so it means nothing to anybody.
That means nothing to any.
But it's like it's the beta from about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I think like that where we've shown. I mean, some of the footage was captured earlier. It's some of the shots are from earlier.
Previous
what
bit.
people are playing on the floor here is the 17.34 beta, one of those. I mean, so yeah, it's like we're still a while away from release, right? So there's a lot of polish and stuff to happen. Animations are still being worked on. Yeah, it's just we're in the polish and love phase at the moment, which is the nice phase, but also everybody who points out a major problem to me, I'm like, oh, do we have time to fix it? Do we have time to pivot and fix this stuff? So it's it's that phase of development.
Oh, I will say, after watching the reveal myself, it was very evident that the players were playing at a slower pace, so the commentators had time to explain, oh, this is this and this is that. When I was playing it yesterday, it was very fluid. Like when you can be shooting someone and then like you'll be attacked by a melee character from the side, and you can literally turn around and parry them, and it knocks them back. Yeah. You can throw an anti-gravity grenade and jump through it and like slide through the air, and it's really fluid from what I played.
Yeah, no, I was complaining as well. Like I think the demonstration, some of the melee combat, for example, the parries and things like that.
Man, it sounded like Sacrilege should have been running that demo.
I think there's a riposte in the presentation. And that's a sword
it sounds
master
definitely a little
ability,
different than what we
like
saw.
An uber parry because you get to do damage off the back of the parry.
Yeah,
but
there's
the
there's a deflection as well, I think, for the sword master, so you can like deflect bullets for a short time. So
deflect darts,
if your shield's down, you can like start deflecting.
Yep.
So there's lots of like snappy interactive aspects that weren't demonstrated there. So from my perspective, from what I played yesterday, that stuff's super exciting. And it's going to be cool. There's so many different trees. There's like, what is it, Mentat?
Planetologist, Mentat, Bene Gesserit, Trooper, and Swordmaster,
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
And
you
then
can kind of build into each tree. Once you're high level, you can start to delve into different trees, right? So you can have a blended build.
Yeah, you have 3 ability slots and 3 technique slots, and you can sort of blend between any of those trees once you've learned. You've got to find the trainers in the world, apart from the initial one you pick. But yeah, once you've learned, you can start blending things from all the trees together.
All right. Someone asks, actually, that's an interesting one. I never thought of that. Is there a healer kind of ability or class, or is it like you can craft heal things and run up and heal your teammates? So can people be supportive, or is it mostly aggressive attacks? I'd have to go back and check the trees. We had a healer seeker, which was like a version of the hunter seeker, but you would fire
a
Oh,
dart
team.
that would like numb people and heal them.
Oh.
I can't remember if that's still in or got removed, so I apologize.
Mhm.
The idea would be that one day we would add the Souk Doctor as an archetype to the game.
Oh,
We don't
right,
have
yeah.
right now.
Oh,
and then,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then the Souk Doctor archetype would have like more of a healer type archetype in it.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, so the plan is to get there. Like it is going to be like an online game, right? Staying alive for a while.
Mhm.
We're going to keep adding to it. So
Right, yeah.
I would like to add the healing archetype. It's not one of the core archetypes right now.
Right.
There are some healing abilities, I think, but not that one.
Huh.
Someone asked a cool question a moment ago.
It's going to
actually,
make those
which
like
said,
team
can I see a
dungeons a
highlighter?
little interesting.
And I think in the build I played, you
Huh.
can, and this blew my mind. I looked up at the sky and I was kind of looking at things, and I noticed like some little. glimmery
Sacro looks
things,
less
but it was
comfy here than
daytime.
on stream. Yeah, it's because he's not at
And I
home.
was thinking, oh, I'm
All
not sure what
streamers
that
work
is.
like that.
And then one of the devs turned up the like simulation, so that it went from like day to night to day to night, and it was actually the highliner.
I get
in
uncomfortable
orbit,
leaving
but
the
during
house,
day, if you've ever seen the
let
moon
alone
during
going to
the
a
day,
different
it's really
country and
faded,
doing
you
a
can't really see it,
presentation.
and then at night it's like vivid, and it was a highliner. So when the sun went down and it became all auburn skied and everything went black in the sky, the massive highliner was there, and I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, all lit up. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks cool.
yeah, it looked really, really good.
And spoiler alert: at the start of the game, you come out of that highliner.
Exclusive. That's where we start off. Oh, is that where the Reverend Mother is up there? Or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I do like the world feels alive. Like, so we've seen multiple really. So we've got the highliner. Then there's some other ship I saw floating around. I wasn't sure if it was a Sardaukar one or like a Caladan ship, but it's like a massive ship, and it had like a fleet of fighters like escorting it. And then you've got the Sardaukar like search ships going around scanning and dropping soldiers. So and you've got the worm going around. It really
What country
did
are they
feel
in?
like
Germany. They're
world was
Gamescom.
alive. You got all the
Yep, they're in Cologne, Germany.
Maldives bouncing around and stuff, which I did actually hit with a knife and felt really bad.
But then you can take their water.
I did take its water. Yeah, exactly. It served its purpose, I guess.
Yeah, there was a lot of people angry with me that you can kill the Maldives, but you know.
Someone asked, will there be proximity in chat?
Yes, there's proximity chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the appropriate filters and so forth. But yes, you can. I think.
Oh, cool.
I think you just. I can't remember which button it is. I think it's V right now for voice
Mm.
chat. Hold down V and you can talk to anyone within a certain radius.
Right.
Yep.
Actually, that reminds me, you can maybe speak to the radio system. 'Cause we
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a system in the game called CommuniNet, and the CommuniNet system, you go in, like when you're in certain areas, you can choose radio channels. A little GTA Fallout 3 inspired,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you can listen like to the Spice Harvester radio, or the Atreides propaganda channel, or the Harkonnen propaganda channel, and you kind of get radio shows and information about events that have happened
kinda
in the
fun.
world, and a little
Yeah,
bit of the
I
old
like it.
history that we've been building. So yeah, it's kind of fun, like building all that content and yeah, seeing how it works out.
Will it reflect like in-game things? Would it be like a ship has crashed over here? If not, like
The plan is to sort of reflect big
events?
large, yeah, and especially because we're going to be live, right, as a multiplayer game. The
Yeah.
idea is like, oh, this happened, you know, the
I
players
love
did this or this
propaganda.
happened in the
Big
story,
fan
and
of
then the
propaganda.
next time we release an update, there'll be a little
little-
news snippet about that, right?
Sacriel has died 100 times this week, like little newscasts. Brilliant.
Yes, that would be fun.
Is there any vehicle combat, or is vehicles just for transportation?
No, vehicles have like weapons, so I think you saw actually maybe in the presentation,
tank.
tank comes over. You can attach like rocket turrets to buggies. Ornithopters, you can attach like a las gun and a rocket turret. So there's also aerial combat. We actually had a really cool event. Salute to the beta players, anyone who's watching. They crafted a bunch of ornithopters and went into the deep desert and had this sort of ornithopter aerial battle.
dogfight.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
and they were just testing and stressing the servers a bit and
Mhm.
so I don't know. Anyone who's in the beta will understand this reference, but I have to say a woo to you all, a woo to you all.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's an in-joke.
yeah, it's become a meme. I don't know why.
Is that like the Marines have hooah?
Yeah,
Is a woo like a...
I can tell the story.
beta thing.
It's just a really bad like text-to-speech placeholder voice that we had on a
okay.
lore pickup,
Mhm.
and it is exactly what you said. Like it's supposed to be like a SEALs thing, and they're like, "Who's the best fighters?" A woo, and it's just 'cause it's completely flat.
I love
So
that.
It's become a meme now, so it's cool.
Awesome. What's the biggest planned playable vehicle?
So far, it's the transport ornithopter.
Ooh.
It's pretty big. Yeah, and it
Um,
can carry other vehicles, pick up any other vehicle in the game, I think.
Oh, so you could maybe pick up a tank and then they're harvesting some spice and drop the tank off, then deploy the troops,
Yep.
fly around
Okay.
for recon.
Yep, that's how you get like out on the sand without bringing the sandworm immediately. You carry your sand crawlers out under
Oh,
the transport
right.
ornithopter and then drop them off, right? And
Yeah.
and then the transport ornithopter has to kind of hover around to pick up so that you don't lose things to the worm. So yeah.
That's cool, actually, because it feels like it might, as a gameplay experience, match that immersion of the movie or the books as well, where like the harvester sees the cloud in the distance and they have to radio in.
Yep.
So it'd be kind of cool if you're just sat there. Maybe you're the dude in the guild that's like, I've only got half an hour. I'm going to go out farm some spice or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, there are binoculars in the game, right? So he gets out binoculars, oh God, and he actually has to get on Discord or on the in-game voice radio or whatever and be like, I need an ornithop to pick up right now.
Do you know if there's
It's
going to
like
be
the
PvE
D3,
servers?
And someone has to rush across the base, jump in the... That's actually really cool.
Yeah,
I don't think so, but the
idea,
PvP
right?
is opt-in.
Replicating that experience,
So,
especially from the book. There's
yeah.
a really good
I don't know
scene.
though.
Yeah, where like the Duke comes and the ornithopter doesn't show up, and how
Right.
much
Yeah, exactly.
how much of a problem that causes, right? So yeah, it's also a vulnerability point, right? Like if you're if you've only got the transport ornithopter in the air, protect it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can't pick up your spice harvesters.
Exactly, because some sneaky solo player might start shooting you with a lasgun or rocket launcher or whatever it is that she uses it, like Johnny uses, and just take it out. And then you might have to build another one.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
by that point, I think Shai Hulud's going to get his food.
Exactly.
Will there be events such as hijacking spice harvesters? So we saw some events, right, with the ship crashing, and then you get those, is it spice blooms? Blows?
Blow, yeah.
Yeah, spice blows. So you got these kind of big, I like that you can see them from miles away, so it's kind of a pivotal, everyone in the region will kind of be gravitated towards it.
Exactly.
Are there any events like that that involve vehicles, like that haven't crashed?
Not really, right? You do run across like
Player stuff.
you run across, but you do run across like broken down, like the Harkonnen have broken down, and there's a bunch of guys standing around a vehicle with smoke coming out of it.
Right. Okay.
But it's not like it's not quite the same scale as the other things. Yeah.
Right.
Dimitри's
I guess
just
those
walking
kind of
around
events
knocking
or
down all
something
my
throughout
stuff.
the live. You said it's a live game,
Little
right?
bit.
So
Yeah.
you might patch something in and
Oh,
be like,
for
hey,
sure.
we've added a bunch of new events that can
Yes.
happen in the
Okay.
deep desert. The sky's the limit for that stuff.
The joke from our end is always like launch is always just the beginning. There's so much stuff to do.
Hydration is
About
required.
500 people have asked about worm riding, but I think you've publicly said that there will be no worm riding.
Post launch, we
Yeah.
will do it one day.
At some point, yeah.
But yeah, it's not going to be there at launch. It's a very
Bring some water,
complicated
chat.
thing to do. First of all, the way the sandworms are AI, but also because we needed to have a really strong purpose in the game.
Yeah, you can't just have everyone unlock it and then just be blasting around.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that we give it the time to figure out the right design for how sandworms should work.
What if you could go to the south of the planet and find one of the baby ones that they get the water of life from and just have it as a skateboard?
Yeah, that could work.
One sec, chat.
Maybe not.
Dimitri,
That's forget that.
I don't know.
That'd be a good meme, like.
If we were Fortnite, we'd do it.
Yeah, exactly. Any other pressing questions, chat? Are there AI teammates? If you don't have any friends online, or maybe if there's activities that need more people,
Let's see
you
some
can go to a
gameplay. The
tech
first 30 minutes was
station
gameplay.
and be like,
Yep.
summon or request.
It'll all be on the
an
YouTube
ally.
after this.
Not
I
right
think.
now. There are in some of the story moments. There are people who will follow you around, but they're really just special story moments. So
Yeah.
It's not.
Actually, yeah. In one of the quests, there's like a couple of NPCs I could interact with. Okay.
Yep.
People are asking, will there be controller support on launch?
Yes. Full controller support. In fact, we had the hands-on, and one of the journalists today said to me, like, "Oh, I can't play games with mouse and keyboard." I was like, "Oh, let me find you a controller because it works fine. It's fine."
Right.
Yeah.
Pop it in. Okay, cool. People are asking about the payment model. Is it like a one-time plan to be a one-time payment thing, or a
Definitely
subscription?
be one time at launch, and then it won't be subscription. I can say that for sure.
Right.
The rest
play.
of sort of microtransactions and things like that are still being sorted out. So we will talk more about it when we have a very clear plan there.
Cool. Mr. Wampeg, who's a friend of mine, are there handheld lasguns planned for late game?
Yes, there are las guns in the game, and you can fire them at people and kill them. And if you aim them at a shield, they will automatically turn off so that you can't fire. And that's because in our backstory, one of the major cities in the world got blown up by a nuclear blast of a lasgun hitting a shield.
Yeah.
And so CohhCarnage now only import lasguns that have the safety switch on them.
Right, so it can
Arrakis.
detect
Yes.
like the mission of the shield or whatever, and say, I'm not shooting in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I know it'd be cool for everyone to nuke each other, but also hard to make a good game if everyone's nuking each other.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, someone in their base just opens the window and a single las blast hits and just takes out the whole base instantly. how do the levels work? So like as you're playing through the game, do you earn XP? Is it like the kind of classic system of earning XP, spending it in different ways?
Yeah, you get XP when you level up. You earn intel points. Intel points allow you to unlock technology tree. You also get skill points, which you can spend in the skill trees for the different archetypes. You know, pretty standard stuff. And you can also find intel points in bases. As you
Yeah, I
explore
found some myself. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. So it's kind of, at some point, you start like finding more intel points and earning less in the leveling system.
Right. So it kind of guides you to a certain point, and then says if you want to progress more, go find it.
Yep.
I like that. How does respec? This one's for me actually. How does respecing work? Like, can you go to someone to respec? Is it on a cooldown? Is it a big cost?
I actually don't know yet. Right now it's just a button you push in the menu if you want to respec for free. But that's kind of a beta thing. We haven't actually sorted out. I imagine it'll be a spice cost. Probably that's what we'll do. We'll make it it'll cost an increasing amount of spice to keep respecing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I think we have gone slightly over our allotted 30 minutes. So thank you, Joel, for the deep dive, and thanks for having me out here. It's been such a cool event. If you're at Gamescom, you should come and see. We're in Hall 6. The booth looks like literally this. This is outside, and it's just going to be a row of people taking pictures of it. I've been out there, and literally every 5 seconds there's someone taking pictures. Really, really cool booth. So come and check it out. But yeah, thank you again for the world exclusive gameplay reveal on the channel. We appreciate it.
Cool. And that'll be up later.
Absolutely my pleasure. And I'll get a base key, right?
Applause.
Oh, you might want to speak to you. Said no power.
Don't ask me. We'll get you something.
Okay.
We'll get you
cool.
something.
Okay, thank you everybody. Appreciate you. Have a
Awesome.
wonderful rest of your day. And if you're at Gamescom, come on over to Hall 6 and come say hello. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
That was great. Sacco did awesome. That was fantastic. Chat, I got to run too. If you guys want more information on Dune, or more particularly if you want to wish list it, then head on over to the link, cohh.tv/Dune. That will make you connect with their team and all the updates and stuff you will get on email. So if you do want more info on Dune, particularly all the development of it, make sure to click that link, wish list, and go from there. Would you like to know more? That's right. Anyway, on that note, I'm out of here for now. I'll be back in about an hour. So I'm going to raid over to Pasco real quick, and then we'll raid back. And we've got a couple hours of Black Myth Wukong, and then we've got the Future Games Show this afternoon. So I will see you guys in just a little bit for more fun and games. Back soon.